This man is Gu Chuan. A simple handshake with him can send an electric shock strong enough to knock someone out because he has a mechanical heart. This heart not only prevents him from experiencing normal human emotions, but also discharges electricity under certain conditions. The accident happened 10 years ago when Gu Chuan had just successfully proposed to his girlfriend. In the next moment, he was knocked off a cliff by a perpetrator while trying to save a little girl. The girl's parents died on the spot, and Gu Chuan's heart was pierced, leaving him on the brink of death. Fortunately, Dr. Peel saved him by transplanting a mechanical heart, giving Gu Chuan a second chance at life. However, to maintain his body's electrical balance, he must avoid strong emotions. No joy, no anger, no sorrow, which gradually caused the once lively and cheerful Gu Chuan to lose his zest for life. Worse still, as time passed, the mechanical heart's working time grew shorter, and the charging time grew longer, signaling that his life was nearing its end. Time flew by and 10 years had passed. The little girl had grown up. Despite frequently encountering misfortunes, she remained optimistic, believing that after surviving a great disaster, good fortune was sure to come. Jiang Xiaoning never gave up searching for the big brother who had saved her life, but there had been no news of him for the past 10 years. One day, while working in a bakery, she accidentally met her savior, Gu Chuan, but failed to recognize him. The two passed each other by. By this time, Gu Chuan had become an internationally renowned architectural designer, but his life was on a countdown. He had long accepted the idea of death, and was even planning to purchase a feng shui site as his future burial ground. When his close friend Su Chengran learned of Gu Chuan's suicidal thoughts, he immediately decided to assign an assistant to stay by Gu Chuan's side at all times, ready to report any unusual behavior. Jiang Xiaoning, who had just lost her job and urgently needed to pay off debts, started working as a part-time chauffeur. One day, she was at a bar when she saw a drunk woman being harassed. Without hesitation, Jiang Xiaoning stepped in to rescue her, not expecting that this act of kindness would bring her a dream job and lead to a sweet romance with her savior, Gu Chuan. That night, Gu Chuan saved the unconscious Sumanling from a sinister client. Just as they left the bar, they encountered Jiang Xiaoning, who was eagerly seeking customers. Jiang Xiaoning took the initiative to shake Gu Chuan's hand, a gesture that caused his heart rate to spike dangerously close to the point of discharging electricity. However, Jiang Xiaoning remained oblivious to this, which left Gu Chuan feeling incredulous and more curious about her. He agreed to let her be his driver, but a small incident occurred during the drive. Due to the trauma of the car accident 10 years ago, Jiang Xiaoning was extremely sensitive to large trucks and would start trembling whenever she saw one. Gu Chuan noticed her unease and sensed that something was wrong, so he asked her what was going on. Jiang Xiaoning casually explained that she had some psychological trauma related to large trucks, possibly due to a car accident, but assured him that she would get them safely to their destination. Just as she was speaking, a large truck suddenly appeared, causing Jiang Xiaoning to instinctively grab Gu Chuan's arm out of fear. This action made Gu Chuan's heart rate spike to a dangerous level again. His electrified hand only lightly touched something, and the car could no longer start. With no other choice, they called for a tow truck to take them and the car home. Gu Chuan then hurried back to his secret base to urgently recharge his mechanical heart. Gu Chuan had grown weary of living like the walking dead, yet the girl he met today stirred something within him, making him feel that perhaps life wasn't so dull after all. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaoning couldn't shake the feeling that Gu Chuan was strangely familiar and comforting, as if she had met him before. That night, she dreamed again of the big brother who saved her years ago, dreaming of how he held her hand tightly in her moment of despair. The next morning, Jiang Xiaoning woke up to a call inviting her to an interview with Sumanling. Excited, she hurried to the interview location. At the entrance of the company, she saw Gu Chuan again and tried to catch up to greet him, but she accidentally shattered the glass of the revolving door. Hearing the noise, Gu Chuan turned around and was stunned by the scene before him. He thought to himself that Jiang Xiaoning's destructive power was almost on par with his own. Jiang Xiaoning, on the other hand, could only cover her embarrassment with an awkward smile. She had finally secured an interview, only to break the company's door upon arrival. During the interview that followed, no matter how hard Jiang Xiaoning tried to impress, Gu Chuan remained cold and indifferent. He was used to working alone and didn't feel he needed an assistant. Disappointed, Jiang Xiaoning left, as she desperately needed this job. Her dream was to become an architectural designer, and Gu Chuan was a top figure in the field. Working with him would provide invaluable learning opportunities. Not wanting to give up easily, she sought out Gu Chuan and pleaded for a chance. To persuade him, Jiang Xiaoning even grabbed his hand, taking a detour back to the company, hoping to buy more time to change his mind. Although Gu Chuan continued to appear cold and unfeeling on the surface, he was already wavering inside. For some reason, Jiang Xiaoning gave him a special feeling, as if fate had brought them together. Despite his mechanical heart limiting his emotions, he couldn't help but be affected by Jiang Xiaoning's presence. Even though they had only met 3 times, Gu Chuan couldn't resist the urge to help her. Not long after, Jiang Xiaoning received an employment notice from Gu Chuan's studio. On her first day at work, she dressed formally but accidentally bumped into a cleaning lady, getting drenched in water. She had no choice but to ask her best friend Zhao Yan for help. Zhao Yan quickly came to her rescue, bringing her a new suit. When Gu Chuan saw Jiang Xiaoning, he immediately asked her to drive him to meet a client. Gu Chuan's car was very high-end, and Jiang Xiaoning fumbled with it for a long time, unable to figure out how to start it. Gu Chuan had to patiently teach her how to operate it, step by step. He couldn't understand why he was so tolerant and caring towards Jiang Xiaoning, even though she was clueless about many things. Yet, he was willing to patiently guide her. When facing the client's director, He Jiang, who tried to make things difficult for and humiliate Jiang Xiaoning, Gu Chuan didn't hesitate to declare that Jiang Xiaoning was part of his company, and no one else had the right to criticize her. This unconditional protection and favoritism made Jiang Xiaoning develop special feelings for Gu Chuan. However, Gu Chuan was so outstanding that Jiang Xiaoning could only admire and revere him, not daring to hope for anything more. Filled with resentment, Mr. He was brooding over not finding an outlet for his frustration when he happened to encounter Jiang Xiaoning alone. Remembering how she had ruined his plans at the bar last time and how she had embarrassed him in front of the boss today, Mr. He decided to teach her a lesson. Jiang Xiaoning backed away in fear, thinking she wouldn't escape this time, but Gu Chuan arrived just in time to save her. Jiang Xiaoning, fearing that this incident might ruin the project, tried to keep the peace. But Gu Chuan was furious and insisted that Mr. He apologize to Jiang Xiaoning or he would call the police. Seeing Gu Chuan's determination, Mr. He begrudgingly muttered an apology, and only then did Gu Chuan let him go. Gu Chuan warned, "If anything like this happens again, we'll settle it at the police station." He then took Jiang Xiaoning away, thoughtfully taking on the task of driving, so that the still-shaken Jiang Xiaoning could rest in the car. On her first day at work, Jiang Xiaoning's fondness for Gu Chuan grew rapidly. Gu Chuan was the first person, aside from her family, to treat her so well. The first person who had treated her this way was the big brother who risked his life to save her 10 years ago, though she didn't know that Gu Chuan was that very savior. Thus, on her first day at work, Jiang Xiaoning developed feelings for the company boss. Even the usually cold and unapproachable Gu Chuan began to show special care for this new employee. To protect her dignity, he didn't hesitate to risk ruining a multi-million-dollar deal. Gu Chuan's actions instantly made the never-been-in-love Jiang Xiaoning's heart flutter. That day, Suminling, who had secretly admired Gu Chuan for years, took the opportunity to invite him to a design exhibition, hoping for a private date. However, Gu Chuan requested that she bring Jiang Xiaoning along, which left Suminling feeling disappointed and jealous. She had worked by Gu Chuan's side for 7 years, but had never managed to get close to his heart. She had always been the only female friend by his side, but Jiang Xiaoning's arrival seemed to be taking her place, and this gradually bred jealousy in her heart. At that moment, Jiang Xiaoning suddenly received news that her aunt had been in a car accident and was hospitalized, so she hurriedly asked for leave and rushed to the hospital. Suminling was secretly pleased, thinking that she finally had the chance to spend some one-on-one time with Gu Chuan. However, after work, when Gu Chuan noticed Jiang Xiaoning's absence, he immediately inquired about her whereabouts. Suminling pretended not to know or didn't want to say, trying to undermine Jiang Xiaoning's image. But this didn't work. Gu Chuan promptly asked her to contact Jiang Xiaoning. At the time, Jiang Xiaoning was busy handling matters at the hospital and feeling down. Sensitive to her distress, Gu Chuan quickly guessed that Jiang Xiaoning was in trouble, so he canceled his plans and rushed to the hospital. Upon arrival, he had Suminling pay the hospital fees for him. Jiang Xiaoning was extremely grateful, thinking Gu Chuan was an incredibly kind boss. However, she found it hard to accept because they were merely in an employer-employee relationship and she had only worked for 1 day, having contributed nothing to the company, so she didn't want to accept charity without merit. To ease her concerns, Gu Chuan assured her that the money was just a loan and would be deducted from her salary later. At that moment, Jiang Xiaoning's childhood friend Tang Su arrived at the hospital, immediately offering to pay the fees so that Gu Chuan wouldn't be troubled. However, Jiang Xiaoning preferred to borrow from the company rather than owe Tang Su a favor, so she promptly declined his offer. This decision secretly pleased the jealous Gu Chuan. Although Suminling didn't say much, her intuition told her that in the earlier scene, Gu Chuan was clearly competing with Tang Su out of jealousy, which was out of character for his typically aloof demeanor. On the way back to the office, Suminling cautiously asked Gu Chuan why he cared so much about a newly hired employee. Gu Chuan replied that he wasn't sure himself. More precisely, he didn't dare to dwell on the question because his condition didn't allow him to fall in love with anyone. Love was already an unattainable luxury for him. So he deflected by saying that he wouldn't ignore any employee in need. At that moment, Gu Chuan received a call from Dr. Peel. Every so often, Dr. Peel would come to check and upgrade Gu Chuan's mechanical heart. But Gu Chuan had long stopped hoping for much from these visits, sometimes even wishing that this mechanical heart, which kept him alive like a walking corpse, would stop functioning. However, this time, Gu Chuan subconsciously asked Dr. Peel when he could become normal again. Dr. Peel was immensely gratified because he finally saw Gu Chuan reignite a hope for life. Yet, he was curious about what had motivated Gu Chuan. It was then that Gu Chuan realized that Jiang Xiaoning's presence had unknowingly given him a new hope for life. Her existence made him feel that perhaps he could have a happy and fulfilling life. However, he dared not hope too much and could only try to help Jiang Xiaoning achieve her dream of becoming an architectural designer within the limited time he had left. So, Gu Chuan began involving Jiang Xiaoning in every project, allowing her to freely express her ideas. He discovered that Jiang Xiaoning was very talented, eager to learn, and someone worth nurturing. One day after work, Gu Chuan had a sudden idea and decided to take Jiang Xiaoning fishing. He wanted her to learn to think and create in a quiet and solitary environment. However, Jiang Xiaoning didn't understand his good intentions and kept talking non-stop like a chatterbox. Gu Chuan had to directly ask her to be quiet, otherwise, they wouldn't catch any fish all night. Jiang Xiaoning obediently quieted down, and soon, they had a fish on the line. She excitedly tried to catch it but kept missing. Seeing this, Gu Chuan quickly stepped in to help, and their hands accidentally touched. In that moment, their eyes met, and Gu Chuan's heart began to race, his heartbeat instantly surging. Gu Chuan quickly let go of Jiang Xiaoning's hand, and the atmosphere became incredibly awkward. Jiang Xiaoning took the fish home, where her best friend Zhao Yan's love radar immediately kicked in. Zhao Yan told Jiang Xiaoning that Gu Chuan must have feelings for her, and advised her to seize the opportunity. Jiang Xiaoning quickly denied it, thinking that they were not from the same world. Gu Chuan was so outstanding, how could he possibly like someone as ordinary as her? Zhao Yan was unhappy to hear this and told Jiang Xiaoning not to underestimate herself, saying her optimistic and cheerful personality, like a little sun, was very attractive. Jiang Xiaoning felt much better after hearing this. The next morning, Gu Chuan saw Tang Su driving Jiang Xiaoning to work at the company entrance, and jealousy welled up inside him. In a rather childish move, he immediately instituted a new rule specifically for Jiang Xiaoning: no dating during the internship period or face termination. At a company dinner, Jiang Xiaoning boldly hugged her boss, Gu Chuan, in front of everyone, leaving them all stunned and curious, with gossip written all over their faces. Suminling, who had secretly admired Gu Chuan for years, was nearly driven mad with jealousy. Jiang Xiaoning explained that the hug was just to express her gratitude to her boss, and then hugged Suminling as well because she was particularly happy that day. Since meeting Gu Chuan and Suminling, her luck had started to turn, and she seemed to have finally shaken off the bad luck that had plagued her for years. The drunk Jiang Xiaoning spoke a lot of truth after drinking, even forgetting the modesty a girl should have. She looked at Gu Chuan with a starry-eyed expression, constantly praising his good looks and saying he looked even better when he smiled, and that she wanted to dance in his dimples. Gu Chuan was amused by her rambling, wondering if Jiang Xiaoning would be mortified when she woke up tomorrow and remembered how boldly she had flirted with her boss. Gu Chuan dropped Jiang Xiaoning off at her door, hesitating whether to help her inside when she suddenly sobered up, quickly getting out of the car and telling Gu Chuan she was fine and he could leave. Not wanting to worry her grandmother and aunt, she decided to wait outside until the alcohol wore off before going inside. Concerned, Gu Chuan called her after he got home to make sure she got inside safely. Jiang Xiaoning was honest with him, and Gu Chuan ordered her to go inside immediately and not linger outside. Just then, Jiang Xiaoning saw a man squatting on the ground, vomiting uncontrollably. She kindly offered him a bottle of water, only to discover that the man was Mr. He, who had previously tried to assault her. When Mr. He saw Jiang Xiaoning, he snatched her phone angrily. Sensing something was wrong on the other end of the line, Gu Chuan immediately drove back to find her. Mr. He forcibly dragged Jiang Xiaoning away, and she fell into despair. Just then, Gu Chuan arrived in time and without hesitation, punched Mr. He. The now irrational Mr. He fought back wildly. Jiang Xiaoning, worried, rushed to help but was pushed to the ground by Mr. He. Mr. He became even more frenzied, picking up a broken wine bottle and lunging at Gu Chuan. In a desperate attempt, Jiang Xiaoning tried to grab the bottle, but accidentally cut her arm. In the heat of the moment, Gu Chuan's heart rate spiked, instantly releasing a destructive electrical current that sent Mr. He flying several meters, shattering nearby streetlights and electrical devices. Jiang Xiaoning, recovering from the shock, saw only Gu Chuan lying unconscious on the ground. She held him, crying in fear and worry. Gu Chuan soon regained consciousness, but due to the injuries and the excessive power drain on his heart, he remained very weak. His friend Su Chengran, who had seen Gu Chuan's heart power rapidly depleting on his phone, rushed to the scene and took them to the hospital. Meanwhile, Mr. He was taken to the police station. When Mr. He woke up, still shaken, he described Gu Chuan's electrical powers to the police, but no one believed him, thinking he was just babbling drunken nonsense. Seeing Gu Chuan's pale face, Jiang Xiaoning insisted on taking him home. The situation was urgent, and Gu Chuan didn't have time to host Jiang Xiaoning, so he hurried upstairs to recharge his heart. After recharging, he came downstairs only to find Jiang Xiaoning asleep on the floor. Gently, Gu Chuan covered her with a blanket. After the life-and-death ordeal they had gone through, their feelings for each other quickly deepened. Gu Chuan became increasingly certain that he had fallen for Jiang Xiaoning. However, at that moment, Dr. Peel called to remind him not to get involved in a relationship, as it could endanger his life. Gu Chuan's mood instantly plummeted. What could be more despairing than falling in love with someone, only to have to force yourself to let them go? Just as Gu Chuan was hesitating about whether to follow the doctor's advice, Su Qingran inadvertently became their matchmaker. Seeing that Gu Chuan had finally regained hope for life and was no longer fixated on death, Su Qingran was overjoyed. So he directly brought Jiang Xiaoning to Gu Chuan's house and candidly suggested that she stay close to Gu Chuan at all times, ideally even living in his house, to monitor and report any of his abnormal behaviors. Jiang Xiaoning was puzzled by this. So Su Qingran explained that Gu Chuan was so engrossed in his work that he would often neglect to eat or sleep, which would eventually take a toll on his health. Therefore, he needed an assistant to take care of his daily needs. Jiang Xiaoning agreed after hearing this. She proactively started cooking for Gu Chuan, and as Gu Chuan watched her busy figure, he felt a sense of peace and contentment. He had once longed for such a simple and happy life, but now, this kind of life seemed like a luxury to him. While Jiang Xiaoning was busy cooking, she called out to Gu Chuan for help. Gu Chuan misunderstood her request and came over to gently smooth her hair. Jiang Xiaoning immediately blushed and said shyly that she just wanted him to carry the dishes. Gu Chuan felt embarrassed and quickly found an excuse to leave. Shortly after, the meal was ready. During dinner, Jiang Xiaoning once again sincerely thanked Gu Chuan for saving her life, which reminded her of the big brother from 10 years ago. Seeing Jiang Xiaoning's continued fondness for that big brother, Gu Chuan couldn't help but feel jealous, not realizing he was actually jealous of himself. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Jiang Xiaoning quickly went to answer it, but Gu Chuan suddenly remembered something and hurried to stop her, accidentally bumping into her, causing them to collide. When Gu Chuan's parents saw this scene, they thought they had come to the wrong house and immediately retreated. After confirming the house number, they cautiously entered. By then, Gu Chuan and Jiang Xiaoning had resumed their professional boss-employee relationship, deliberately keeping their distance. Gu Chuan's mother, with her sharp instincts, sensed something was off and noticed Gu Chuan's poor attempt at pretending to work. But she didn't expose him, having already decided that Jiang Xiaoning was Gu Chuan's girlfriend, and began asking all sorts of questions about her. Seeing this, Gu Chuan quickly told Jiang Xiaoning to return to the office to avoid any awkwardness. Gu Chuan's mother was very pleased with Jiang Xiaoning, thinking she was considerate and caring, a good match for Gu Chuan. After Jiang Xiaoning left, Gu Chuan returned to his cold, prickly demeanor, speaking with a sharp edge. He didn't want to maintain overly close relationships with anyone, especially his parents, because he feared they wouldn't be able to handle the day he died. He was also afraid that he would grow too attached to this warmth and be unable to accept the inevitable tragic end. So he always pretended to be indifferent, rejecting their concern even if it meant being misunderstood. The next day, while returning home from work, Gu Chuan and Jiang Xiaoning suddenly got stuck in an elevator. Both thought they were responsible for the elevator malfunction. Gu Chuan worried it was due to the electrical current from his mechanical heart, while Jiang Xiaoning believed her bad luck was at play again. She quickly apologized, feeling she always brought trouble to Gu Chuan, perhaps even being his jinx. Seeing this, Gu Chuan comforted her, telling her not to blame herself for everything that went wrong. The elevator repairman soon pried open a small gap, and Gu Chuan immediately insisted they rescue Jiang Xiaoning first. After she was out, she quickly reached out to pull him up. This scene felt eerily familiar to Gu Chuan, and memories of the little girl from 10 years ago flooded his mind. Could Jiang Xiaoning be that little girl from back then? Sensing that her position as Gu Chuan's assistant was being threatened by Jiang Xiaoning, the scheming Sumanling deliberately sent her to deal with the most difficult client, even providing incorrect information. As expected, the client was furious and immediately canceled the order. Sumanling's plan succeeded, and she pretended to be righteous by demanding that Jiang Xiaoning resign to take responsibility. When Gu Chuan found out, he rushed back to the company but didn't openly defend Jiang Xiaoning. Instead, he played along with Sumanling's suggestion, agreeing to handle it according to company policy. He and Su Qingran then staged a mock argument, culminating in Gu Chuan storming off and leaving the matter to Su Qingran. Su Qingran then decided to give Jiang Xiaoning 7 days to make amends, which silenced the critics and gave Jiang Xiaoning a chance to stay. Despite this, Jiang Xiaoning was still saddened as she saw Gu Chuan's impersonal, by-the-book attitude and felt misunderstood. The next day, Jiang Xiaoning brought flowers to apologize to the client, but she was still turned away. Coincidentally, Gu Chuan passed by and saw this. Jiang Xiaoning expected him to scold her, but instead, Gu Chuan comforted her. Seeing Jiang Xiaoning's aggrieved expression, Gu Chuan handed her a handkerchief, and she realized it was identical to the one she had received with words of encouragement during the meeting. It was then that she understood. The person who had been silently encouraging her all along was Gu Chuan. Determined not to disappoint Gu Chuan, Jiang Xiaoning sought out the client's husband and gently inquired about the situation. She discovered that the client's son had tragically passed away, and the client wanted to preserve a wall that held memories of her son, while her husband wanted to tear it down to help her move on. Unaware of the situation, Jiang Xiaoning had suggested demolishing the wall, which angered the client. Having lost her own parents, Jiang Xiaoning could relate and persuaded the client's husband to understand his wife's feelings. The client was moved by Jiang Xiaoning's empathy and eventually forgave her. Tang Su, upon returning from a business trip, brought gifts and local specialties for Jiang Xiaoning and insisted on putting a necklace around her neck. This scene happened to be witnessed by Gu Chuan, who immediately felt a surge of jealousy. After returning home, Gu Chuan called Jiang Xiaoning, trying to gauge if she was on a date with a man. Upon learning that Jiang Xiaoning was preparing food for a team-building event, Gu Chuan breathed a sigh of relief and asked her to pick him up before the event to go shopping for clothes. Jiang Xiaoning agreed, and the two met at the mall as planned. The sales clerk, mistaking them for a couple, enthusiastically recommended couple outfits. Jiang Xiaoning felt shy and thought it was inappropriate, while Gu Chuan thought she looked good in anything, except for the necklace, because it was a gift from Tang Su. At the team-building site, everyone praised their couple outfits, except for Sumanling, who had a jealous look on her face. She intentionally reminded Jiang Xiaoning about unfinished work, forcing her to leave in a hurry. Watching her leave, Gu Chuan couldn't help but feel reluctant, so he found an excuse to accompany her. While they were alone, Gu Chuan noticed a mistake in Jiang Xiaoning's proposal and helped her correct it. When Sumanling later brought dinner to find some alone time with Gu Chuan, she found the room empty. As a meteor streaked across the sky, Jiang Xiaoning made a wish, and Gu Chuan couldn't help but smile as he watched her closed eyes. Just as Sumanling was about to leave, she inadvertently saw the intimate scene in Jiang Xiaoning's room, which made her furious. Unknowingly, Gu Chuan fell asleep. As Jiang Xiaoning admired his handsome face, she couldn't help but feel infatuated. Gu Chuan, dreaming of the car accident from 10 years ago, suddenly woke up, remembering the girl he saved who held onto his hand tightly. Seeing the blanket Jiang Xiaoning had prepared for him, he was touched and quickly draped it over her. However, Gu Chuan still didn't know that the lovely girl before him was the same girl he had saved years ago. The next morning, upon learning that the schedule allowed for free activities, Gu Chuan suggested taking Jiang Xiaoning out. He brought her to a ski resort, where she was immediately captivated by the scenery and made Gu Chuan her personal selfie stick, constantly striking poses. But when Jiang Xiaoning accidentally stepped on a snowboard, Gu Chuan quickly caught her. His heart rate spiked, and the electricity from his body lit up the surrounding lights, causing Jiang Xiaoning to feel a slight shock. As they left the ski resort, Jiang Xiaoning held on to 2 stuffed toys, a crow and a lizard, she got from the resort, cherishing them dearly. On the way back, she discovered that the toys could record sound, so she spoke into the lizard toy, saying, boss, don't always keep a straight face." After recording, she mischievously handed the toy to Gu Chuan, who was puzzled. Back in her room, Gu Chuan listened to the recording, smiling blissfully, and recorded his own message of blessing for her. At karaoke, everyone urged Jiang Xiaoning to sing, and she confidently picked up the microphone, but her off-key singing had everyone laughing. Gu Chuan, unable to bear it, tried to take over the mic to save her, but ended up singing off-key too. Embarrassed, he quickly suggested they trade stuffed toys, only to find that the crow toy also contained a recording from Jiang Xiaoning. "Boss, you're so nice." Warmth filled Gu Chuan's heart upon hearing it. The next morning, as Gu Chuan and Jiang Xiaoning arrived at work together, their colleagues speculated whether they were a couple. At noon, Tang Su invited Jiang Xiaoning out for lunch, and when Simonling saw Gu Chuan looking for her, she deliberately mentioned Jiang Xiaoning's date with Tang Su, causing Gu Chuan to become anxious and message her. In the evening, Su Qingran invited Gu Chuan to his girlfriend's house to admire flowers. Though Gu Chuan initially declined out of jealousy, he changed his mind upon learning that Jiang Xiaoning would be there. When Jiang Xiaoning saw Gu Chuan, she was pleasantly surprised, and her friends tactfully created an opportunity for the two to be alone. Jiang Xiaoning seized the chance to apologize for what happened earlier that day, which immediately lifted Gu Chuan's spirits. As they watched the night blooming serious together, they took pictures to capture the moment, marking their shared happiness. Simonling reported on a popular cafe to Gu Chuan and joined him and Jiang Xiaoning on a site visit. At the cafe's location, Jiang Xiaoning was deeply attracted by the lakeside view, and photographer Chen Wenwen captured the moment, leading to their acquaintance and exchange of contact information. During the business trip, the three of them stayed at a luxury hotel. While in the hotel's outdoor hot spring, Jiang Xiaoning ran into Chen Wenwen, and they had a pleasant conversation. Chen Wenwen talked about her fiancé, while Jiang Xiaoning couldn't stop praising Gu Chuan. Sensing Jiang Xiaoning's deep feelings for Gu Chuan, Chen Wenwen offered her some advice on love and work. Simonling, using work as an excuse, invited Gu Chuan to her room to discuss the design plan and dressed up meticulously before his arrival. When Gu Chuan arrived, their conversation naturally turned to Jiang Xiaoning. Gu Chuan admitted that Jiang Xiaoning had a positive influence on him, but when Simonling asked if he might fall in love with her, Gu Chuan stated that he might never fall in love with anyone. Just as their conversation ended, Jiang Xiaoning happened to appear and witness Simonling in a revealing nightgown with Gu Chuan, leading to a misunderstanding. Gu Chuan, sensing Jiang Xiaoning's change in mood, explained that he and Simonling were merely discussing work and advised her to rest early. His explanation and concern lifted Jiang Xiaoning's spirits, making her feel guilty for the misunderstanding and even more appreciative of her relationship with Gu Chuan. Chen Wenwen asked Jiang Xiaoning to help design an art exhibition. Feeling unqualified, Jiang Xiaoning recommended that Gu Chuan take on the project. Gu Chuan informed her that Simonling was in charge of the exhibition and directed her to coordinate with her. Due to Jiang Xiaoning's direct reporting and their rivalry, Simonling was very unhappy with her. After learning that Chen Wenwen was Jiang Xiaoning's friend, Simonling made things even more difficult. Eventually, Chen Wenwen compromised and arranged to visit the company to discuss further. Afterward, Chen Wenwen pointed out Simonling's feelings for Gu Chuan and encouraged Jiang Xiaoning to pursue him. When Chen Wenwen arrived at the company as scheduled, she unexpectedly ran into Gu Chuan. Both were surprised and their expressions turned serious. It turns out that 10 years ago, Gu Chuan and Chen Wenwen were engaged to be married. However, after the car accident that led to Gu Chuan having a mechanical heart implanted, he distanced himself from Chen Wenwen. Gu Chuan's mother, fearing that waiting for Gu Chuan would waste Chen Wenwen's youth, advised her to move on. Eventually, Chen Wenwen took the initiative to break off the engagement. This reunion allowed them to resolve their past issues. However, Manlin overheard their conversation, learning about Gu Chuan's past, which made her even more dissatisfied. Before parting, Chen Wenwen encouraged Jiang Xiaoning to be brave. Manlin seized the opportunity to probe Jiang Xiaoning's feelings for Gu Chuan, but Chen Wenwen directly exposed her intentions. Chen Wenwen openly admitted, "If it were me, I would choose Jiang Xiaoning too." With that, she left a furious Manlin behind. Jiang Xiaoning took Gu Chuan home and mustered the courage to confess her feelings, but her confession was interrupted by a phone call from Manlin. Manlin deliberately mentioned that Chen Wenwen was Gu Chuan's ex-fiancé, leading Jiang Xiaoning to mistakenly believe that Chen Wenwen had approached her to rekindle her relationship with Gu Chuan. Reflecting on her interactions with Chen Wenwen, Jiang Xiaoning felt uncertain about how to face Gu Chuan. When Gu Chuan asked what she wanted to say, Jiang Xiaoning fled in tears. Staring at her reflection, she felt unworthy of Gu Chuan and decided to focus entirely on her work. The next day, distracted, Jiang Xiaoning even had a colleague deliver her work documents for her. At a colleague's birthday celebration, Gu Chuan, wanting to encourage Jiang Xiaoning, organized a dinner for everyone. During the meal, Jiang Xiaoning, seeing Gu Chuan sitting with Manlin, felt even more dejected and drank heavily. Her colleagues, worried she might get into trouble, suggested playing Truth or Dare, and Jiang Xiaoning was chosen twice. Unwilling to answer, she found herself cornered as everyone was eager for gossip. Manlin took the opportunity to sow discord between Jiang Xiaoning and Chen Wenwen, but Jiang Xiaoning boldly pushed back, pointing out that Manlin liked Gu Chuan and should compete fairly. Soon after, Gu Chuan was informed that he had won the Jinan Award. He visited the cemetery again, only to find that his desired burial plot had been sold. Memories of Jiang Xiaoning's encouragement filled his mind. Returning to the office, he found everyone celebrating his award, but he coldly told them to get back to work. Gu Chuan's close friend, Su Chengran, understanding his thoughts, advised him not to dwell on his past plans and to think about his parents and those he loved. Back home, Gu Chuan mustered the courage to contact his parents, which thrilled his mother, who hadn't seen her son in a long time. Gu Chuan, abandoning his usual aloofness, acknowledged the hardships his parents had endured because of him and apologized for his years of distancing himself from them. His typically stern father could no longer hold back his tears and quickly found an excuse to cry in private. Seeing his father like this, Gu Chuan couldn't help but tear up as well. Gu Chuan dressed up for the Jinan Award ceremony, stunning Jiang Xiaoning. During the award presentation, Gu Chuan delivered his acceptance speech, and the mutual affection between him and Jiang Xiaoning was evident, making Manlin intensely jealous. Afterward, Jiang Xiaoning originally planned to take Gu Chuan to a celebration party, but Gu Chuan changed his mind and suggested going somewhere quiet instead. They went to a bridge, where, though they didn't speak, Jiang Xiaoning struggled internally. Staring at Gu Chuan's handsome face, she finally decided to confess her feelings. Upon hearing Jiang Xiaoning's confession, Gu Chuan was momentarily speechless, while Jiang Xiaoning humbly expressed that, although she felt unworthy of him now, she would work hard to become a better person. After hearing her out, Gu Chuan coldly told her to focus on her work first. Jiang Xiaoning, wanting to say more, was interrupted by Gu Chuan. Feeling like her world had collapsed, she quietly left. Watching her walk away, Gu Chuan was heartbroken. Although he had given up on the idea of suicide, the reality that his life was nearing its end was inescapable. To avoid dragging Jiang Xiaoning down, Gu Chuan forced himself to reject her. Later, Chen Wenwen invited Jiang Xiaoning to visit a design site together. Learning that Gu Chuan had rejected her, Chen Wenwen advised Jiang Xiaoning not to give up. As the two arrived at the site, they didn't notice Manlin secretly following them. Chen Wenwen received a call and had to leave, leaving the key in the door, while Jiang Xiaoning stayed on the rooftop to take photos. Late at night, Jiang Xiaoning realized she was locked out, and with Chen Wenwen's phone turned off, she could only call Gu Chuan for help. Upon hearing that Jiang Xiaoning was trapped on the rooftop, Gu Chuan rushed to the scene. Upon arrival, the property management informed him that they didn't have a key to the main door. In desperation, Gu Chuan decided to climb up the elevator shaft, not realizing that his heart rate was gradually increasing due to the intense physical activity. As Jiang Xiaoning panicked and felt helpless, Gu Chuan arrived just in time. After multiple attempts, Gu Chuan decided to break the glass door. Seeing him risking himself like this pained Jiang Xiaoning, and eventually, Gu Chuan succeeded in breaking the glass, rushing to comfort Jiang Xiaoning. However, due to his elevated heart rate, Gu Chuan's body emitted an electric current, accidentally shocking Jiang Xiaoning and knocking her out. Fortunately, Gu Chuan quickly got her to the hospital, and she was out of danger. Watching Jiang Xiaoning in her hospital bed, Gu Chuan was filled with guilt. When Jiang Xiaoning woke up the next day and saw Gu Chuan by her side, she was deeply touched. At that moment, Gu Chuan received a message from Chen Wenwen, who had realized that Gu Chuan truly cared for Jiang Xiaoning and advised him not to avoid his feelings any longer. Her words stirred Gu Chuan's heart once more. After Jiang Xiaoning was discharged from the hospital, Gu Chuan personally picked her up for work, leaving Jiang Xiaoning feeling flattered. In the car, Jiang Xiaoning took out a coin, saying she wanted to buy Gu Chuan's smile. Amused, Gu Chuan agreed to the deal. Jiang Xiaoning then pulled out a pile of coins, hoping Gu Chuan would keep smiling in the future. One day, Jiang Xiaoning received a call from her aunt, informing her that her grandmother, who suffered from intermittent memory loss, had gone missing. Gu Chuan immediately contacted Su Chengran, and the five of them split up to search for her grandmother, but to no avail. Returning home, Jiang Xiaoning's aunt noticed that the photos of Jiang Xiaoning's parents were missing, and suddenly realized that her grandmother might have gone to the cemetery. Jiang Xiaoning and Gu Chuan hurried to the cemetery and indeed found her grandmother there. It turned out that to avoid forgetting her son and daughter-in-law, the grandmother had written the cemetery's address on the back of their photos. Understanding her grandmother's feelings, Jiang Xiaoning tightly embraced her without saying a word. After safely bringing her grandmother home, Jiang Xiaoning's aunt and Jiang Xiaoning prepared dinner to celebrate a special day. The aunt brought out a birthday cake to celebrate Jiang Xiaoning's birthday, her words full of encouragement, hoping Jiang Xiaoning could move on from her past and embrace a new future. Amidst the chorus of birthday songs, Gu Chuan's voice struck Jiang Xiaoning as unusually familiar. After the gathering, Jiang Xiaoning was washing dishes and chatting with Gu Chuan. Gu Chuan asked about the car accident Jiang Xiaoning had experienced, and her response made him realize that the girl in front of him was the same little girl he had comforted during the accident years ago. Reflecting on recent events, Jiang Xiaoning felt overwhelmed with emotion and gently hugged Gu Chuan. Hearing Jiang Xiaoning's soft whisper, Gu Chuan turned and held her tightly in return. Gu Chuan invited Xiaoning out and took her to play at a claw machine. However, it seemed Gu Chuan was influenced by Xiaoning's bad luck, as he failed to win any prizes after multiple attempts. Just then, Xiaoning's handsome classmate, Chen Chen, suddenly appeared. He suggested they attend a class together and tried to help her win the special doll. Sensing a rival's presence, Gu Chuan's heart raced. To stop Chen Chen, he deliberately touched the claw machine, causing the store to suddenly lose power and plunge into darkness. The next day, Jiang Xiaoning surprisingly requested a day off to go on a date. Gu Chuan, pretending not to care, secretly followed her to the date location. Seeing Jiang Xiaoning chatting closely with Tang Su, Gu Chuan became agitated. His frustration only grew when he saw their photo on social media that evening, making him furious. Su Qingran, also alarmed by a photo of his girlfriend Zhao Yan, quickly sought out Gu Chuan, and the two decided to investigate. Su Qingran infiltrated the location disguised as a delivery driver, but was quickly recognized by Zhao Yan. Outside, Gu Chuan spotted Tang Su but didn't see Su Qingran, so he knocked on the door under the pretense of looking for someone, only to find Zhao Yan and Su Qingran having a good time, leaving him awkward. The next day, Jiang Xiaoning asked for leave to attend a supplementary class, and Gu Chuan, worried that she might not have a ride home late at night, decided to accompany her. In class, Tang Su passed notes to Jiang Xiaoning right in front of Gu Chuan. Unwilling to be outdone, Gu Chuan intercepted every paper ball, causing such a commotion that the teacher called on him to answer a question. Tang Su couldn't answer a single one, but Gu Chuan responded fluently, instantly attracting the attention of the female classmates with his scholarly demeanor. Jiang Xiaoning couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. After class, Gu Chuan found an excuse to send Jiang Xiaoning away, and then confronted Tang Su, questioning why he kept pursuing her. Tang Su replied that if Gu Chuan didn't make a move, he would steal Jiang Xiaoning from him. Gu Chuan, feeling a sense of crisis because of Tang Su's words, spent the next few days attending classes with Jiang Xiaoning to prevent Tang Su from making any advances. However, the teacher soon discovered Gu Chuan's identity and, suspecting he was there to cause trouble, barred him from entering the classroom. Left with no choice, Gu Chuan waited outside until evening. After class, Tang Su invited Jiang Xiaoning to eat hot pot in front of Gu Chuan. Although Gu Chuan normally couldn't handle spicy food, he refused to back down and joined them. Jiang Xiaoning knew Gu Chuan couldn't tolerate spicy food and tried to dissuade him, but Gu Chuan insisted on eating for the sake of his pride. After sending Jiang Xiaoning away, Tang Su challenged Gu Chuan to see who could eat spicier food. Both men ended up with flushed faces, only stopping when Jiang Xiaoning brought them water. Feeling his heart rate spike, Gu Chuan hurriedly excused himself to the restroom. In the restroom, Gu Chuan's mechanical heart overworked itself, causing an electrical discharge that led to a power outage in the restaurant. After returning home, Jiang Xiaoning kept apologizing for the hot pot incident, but Gu Chuan had already made up his mind to confess his feelings. After learning that his heart issue could be resolved within 3 months, Gu Chuan mustered the courage to confess to Jiang Xiaoning and asked her to wait for him for 3 months. Jiang Xiaoning didn't ask why and agreed, and the two officially entered into a relationship. At the office, they didn't shy away from showing their affection, holding hands during meals, exchanging loving glances during meetings, and capturing their happy moments together on their phones during breaks. One day, Jiang Xiaoning planned to take Gu Chuan home for dinner, but she ended up working late to finish her tasks. Seeing her busy, Gu Chuan wanted to help, but Jiang Xiaoning playfully kept her distance. Gu Chuan assertively pulled her into his arms, causing Jiang Xiaoning to blush deeply. On the way home, Jiang Xiaoning asked why they had to wait 3 months, but Gu Chuan couldn't bring himself to explain. Su Qingran, upon learning about it, advised Gu Chuan to carefully consider his decision. Gu Chuan was restless over the matter, recalling Jiang Xiaoning's words. Ultimately, he decided to be honest and arranged to meet Jiang Xiaoning at noon. However, an accident occurred. Gu Chuan was hit in the chest by a skateboarder, causing a malfunction in his mechanical heart. Gu Chuan hurriedly found an excuse to go home and recharge, but accidentally dropped his watch. Jiang Xiaoning saw the watch displaying a rapidly declining heart rate and, worried about Gu Chuan's safety, rushed to his home, where Su Qingran informed her that Gu Chuan was in the charging room. Jiang Xiaoning entered the room and saw Gu Chuan lying in a giant pod, recharging. Gu Chuan explained everything, how his heart was pierced while saving someone 10 years ago, and how he needed the mechanical heart to survive. Jiang Xiaoning was shocked to learn that Gu Chuan was the very person who had saved her all those years ago. Finally, they opened their hearts completely to each other and officially became a couple. Gu Chuan took her to their old campus, where there was a building named the Clock of Time, designed by Jiang Xiaoning's father. Xiaoning touched her father's name on the building and expressed her gratitude to Gu Chuan. Gu Chuan suggested that she participate in the reconstruction of a soon-to-be-demolished building so that her name could stand alongside her father's, deeply moving Jiang Xiaoning. That night, Jiang Xiaoning stayed over at Gu Chuan's house, and they slept together on the sofa. The next day, Gu Chuan prepared breakfast for her and turned off her alarm, hoping she could rest a bit longer. Jiang Xiaoning was overjoyed, but a call from Manlin shattered the peace. Manlin scolded Jiang Xiaoning for being late and criticized her work, demanding that she buy coffee. Seeing this, Gu Chuan took the phone and told Manlin that Jiang Xiaoning was working at his house, so she should handle the problem herself. While working, Gu Chuan received a call from Xiaoning's and inviting him to dinner. During dinner, she inquired about his family and educational background. With his impressive qualifications, Xiaoning's aunt couldn't understand why he had chosen her niece. Gu Chuan revealed that he had some health issues, causing the aunt's smile to fade as she hurried away. After work, Xiaoning's aunt demanded that she break up with Gu Chuan. Xiaoning patiently tried to persuade her, but her aunt accused her of being disobedient. Xiaoning finally revealed that Gu Chuan's heart condition was the result of him saving her life. Shocked, her aunt no longer opposed their relationship. Everyone at the company noticed the subtle relationship between Gu Chuan and Jiang Xiaoning, but Manlin, bitter after being rejected by Gu Chuan, decided to take revenge. She met Tang Su, who had also been rejected by Jiang Xiaoning, and they commiserated about their frustrations. Tang Su, taking advantage of Manlin's feelings for Gu Chuan, encouraged her to sabotage him. Manlin eventually agreed to collaborate, and Tang Su, posing as the acting CEO of Reindeer Group, approached Gu Chuan, asking him to design a building for the company. Considering Reindeer Group's influence, Gu Chuan readily agreed. However, Tang Su secretly planned to steal Gu Chuan's design and secure the project for himself. Manlin took advantage of a break to steal the design from Gu Chuan's computer and handed it over to Tang Su. At Reindeer Group's bidding meeting, Tang Su presented the design first. Gu Chuan remained calm and presented a backup plan, shocking both Manlin and Tang Su. Gu Chuan had long suspected Manlin and had seen her hand over the documents to Tang Su, so he and Jiang Xiaoning prepared an alternate design in advance. In the end, Gu Chuan successfully secured the project, while Tang Su was dismissed for embezzlement, and Manlin was fired by Gu Chuan. After celebrating the success of the bid, Gu Chuan and Jiang Xiaoning went out for a trip. Suddenly, a baby stroller rolled toward the street, and Gu Chuan rushed to push it away but was struck by a motorcycle, damaging the circuitry of his heart. The doctors were helpless, and Su Qingran hurried to the research institute, only to find out that the creator of the mechanical heart had passed away, leaving no one capable of repairing it. This meant that Gu Chuan had limited time left. Not wanting Jiang Xiaoning to grieve his impending death, Gu Chuan decided to push her away by acting distant. The next day, Gu Chuan was discharged from the hospital and returned to work. However, he acted like a different person, ignoring Jiang Xiaoning and harshly reprimanding his subordinates during meetings, a stark contrast to his previous patient demeanor. Jiang Xiaoning tried to speak with him privately, but he refused, citing his workload. Late at night, Jiang Xiaoning waited to pick Gu Chuan up from work, only to find out that he had already gone home early. She walked away sadly, unaware that Gu Chuan was silently watching her from a distance. After returning home, Gu Chuan received a message from Jiang Xiaoning expressing concern for him, which broke his heart, but the heart rate monitor reminded him of the harsh reality. The next day, Jiang Xiaoning, still full of energy, went to pick Gu Chuan up for work, but he coldly told her not to come anymore. In the car, Jiang Xiaoning cautiously asked about his recent behavior, but Gu Chuan pretended to sleep to avoid the conversation. At lunch, Jiang Xiaoning invited Gu Chuan to eat with her, but he ruthlessly declined. Unable to hold back her emotions, Jiang Xiaoning left the office in tears. That evening, Jiang Xiaoning went to Gu Chuan's house for their usual tutoring session, but Gu Chuan uncharacteristically pressured her with difficult questions, a far cry from his usual witty and humorous self. Just then, their cat suddenly fell ill and had to be hospitalized for observation. At the pet hospital, Jiang Xiaoning noticed a news report about a supermoon, which briefly lifted her spirits. However, Gu Chuan visited the cemetery again to purchase a burial plot and drafted a will, leaving half of his assets to Jiang Xiaoning in hopes that it would provide her with some comfort. The next day, Jiang Xiaoning brought breakfast for her colleagues, but Gu Chuan publicly criticized her. Unable to endure his cold treatment any longer, Jiang Xiaoning confronted Gu Chuan, asking if he wanted to break up. Although it pained Gu Chuan, he could only apologize. They were invited by Zhao Yan to watch the supermoon, and Jiang Xiaoning hoped this would be a chance to reconcile with Gu Chuan. But Gu Chuan, reflecting on his condition, decided to break up with her, leaving Jiang Xiaoning heartbroken and in tears. To ensure that Jiang Xiaoning could move on without any ties, Gu Chuan cruelly made her believe that he had killed their pet cat, hoping it would drive her away. Knowing that Jiang Xiaoning had always dreamed of rebuilding her ancestral home, he decided to use his remaining time to help her achieve that goal and entrusted Su Qingran to take care of her. Not having seen Gu Chuan for days, Jiang Xiaoning grew worried about his safety and sought out Su Qingran. Su Qingran lied, saying that Gu Chuan had gone abroad and wouldn't return for a year or so, plunging Jiang Xiaoning into despair. Little did she know, Gu Chuan had gone to the ancestral home to fulfill his last mission. Jiang Xiaoning spent her days longing for Gu Chuan, mistaking his office for signs of his return. Feeling conflicted, Su Qingran approached Gu Chuan to inform him of Jiang Xiaoning's current state, but Gu Chuan's worsening condition, signaling his imminent death, made him reiterate that Su Qingran must not reveal his illness. Su Qingran had Jiang Xiaoning sign a formal labor contract, which turned out to be Gu Chuan's will, transferring his assets to her. Struggling with his conscience, Su Qingran confided in his wife, Zhao Yan, about the truth. Upon learning of Gu Chuan's heart condition, Zhao Yan began to understand his actions. The next morning, Su Qingran received a low battery alert for Gu Chuan's heart and arrived just in time to save him. Gu Chuan scolded Su Qingran for letting Zhao Yan find out, and Zhao Yan apologized for her earlier misunderstandings. Meanwhile, Chen Wenwen found Jiang Xiaoning and encouraged her not to give up on Gu Chuan. Jiang Xiaoning decided to visit Gu Chuan's house, where she accidentally discovered his sketchbook and received a call from the pet store, revealing that Gu Chuan hadn't euthanized their cat. Realizing the truth, Jiang Xiaoning tried to contact Gu Chuan but couldn't reach him, so she turned to Zhao Yan for help. Unable to bear seeing Jiang Xiaoning in pain, Zhao Yan hinted that she should go to the ancestral home. Upon arriving, Jiang Xiaoning saw Gu Chuan hard at work. Determined to stay by his side, she resolved not to let him push her away again. 10 years ago, Gu Chuan had held her hand, and today, Jiang Xiaoning was determined not to let go. Touched by her persistence and warmth, Gu Chuan gently embraced her. After reconciling, they shared a bed and talked late into the night, with Gu Chuan's heart racing with nerves. Jiang Xiaoning restrained herself and decided to draft an agreement for their relationship. She stayed up all night and finally completed the agreement. Watching Gu Chuan sleep peacefully, she couldn't resist leaning in and planting a gentle kiss on his cheek. Jiang Xiaoning decided to contact Professor Peel's assistant, Miss Seiko, and after much effort, she finally met her. Xiaoning proposed a bold idea, to replace Gu Chuan's heart. However, Seiko informed her that Gu Chuan had been using the mechanical heart for 10 years, and replacing it now would be extremely risky, with a very low survival rate. Seiko further revealed that Gu Chuan's heart had entered safety mode, which meant he could no longer experience emotions like joy or sorrow, and he only had 1 year left to live. Hearing this, Jiang Xiaoning felt incredibly sad and helpless. After saying goodbye to Seiko, she walked alone to the riverbank and cried out loud. When Jiang Xiaoning arrived at Gu Chuan's home, she hugged him tightly. Gu Chuan had prepared a table full of dishes to welcome her. Seeing Gu Chuan's expressionless face, Xiaoning's heart ached. They went to the bookstore where they first met, and Gu Chuan took Xiaoning through the memories of that special moment. Xiaoning was deeply moved, her eyes filled with tears. Gu Chuan understood Jiang Xiaoning's feelings, but he also realized that due to the limitations of his mechanical heart, the feeling of being moved might never return. He tried to break the heart safety mode by repeatedly reliving past memories. However, seeing Gu Chuan repeatedly attempt this, Xiaoning felt heartbroken and couldn't bear to watch him suffer. Gu Chuan, not wanting to continue living like this, decided to exit safety mode, but this meant he only had 1 month left to live. He suggested taking Xiaoning and her family to see the nearly completed ancestral home. Xiaoning's aunt, seeing Gu Chuan's efforts, jokingly urged them to get married and have children, which made Xiaoning feel embarrassed. On the way home, Grandma suddenly fainted, but fortunately, the doctor diagnosed that there was nothing serious. While Jiang Xiaoning's family comforted Grandma, Zhang's father's friend, Old Tang, suddenly visited, but Aunt was cold towards him. 10 years ago, Zhang's father died after being falsely accused of embezzling public funds, but Old Tang did not testify for him, which became a sore spot for the Jiang family. After a struggle, Old Tang decided to tell Jiang Xiaoning the truth. It turned out that 10 years ago, he and Su Qingran's father, Su Guoxiang, had embezzled public funds. When Zhang's father discovered this and attempted to report it, Su Guoxiang arranged for his assistant to run Zhang's father over, and then framed him for the embezzlement. Jiang Xiaoning decided to reveal the truth, but Su Guoxiang found out and planned to retaliate against her and Gu Chuan. While talking to her boyfriend, Jiang Xiaoning was dragged into a van by a stranger. Gu Chuan followed the kidnappers' demands and brought the evidence to rescue Jiang Xiaoning. After getting the evidence, the kidnappers did not intend to let them go. Relying on the martial arts he had learned, Gu Chuan managed to fend off several kidnappers, but due to a moment of carelessness, he was stabbed in his mechanical heart. At a critical moment, Gu Chuan's mechanical heart, due to the elevated heart rate, released an electric current that repelled the kidnappers, but Gu Chuan also fell unconscious due to excessive discharge. After emergency treatment, Gu Chuan's life was out of danger, but the doctor said he might never wake up. Jiang Xiaoning gently stroked Gu Chuan's face, recalling how he had stayed by her side during the life-threatening car accident 10 years ago. Now, with Gu Chuan needing companionship, Jiang Xiaoning chose to stay by his side without hesitation. Su Qingran, fearing that he would burden his wife, left a divorce agreement and left alone. Always passive in their marriage, Zhaoyan took the initiative this time to save their love. She found Su Qingran, knelt on one knee, and proposed to him again. Seeing the sincerity in Zhaoyan's expression, Su Qingran felt her genuine affection and agreed to marry her. During Gu Chuan's coma, Jiang Xiaoning shared daily events with him, hoping that when he woke up, the world would not feel strange to him. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Under Jiang Xiaoning's management, the company was running smoothly, and Grandma and Aunt were living the idyllic life they had always dreamed of. Gu Chuan, under Xiaoning's careful care, finally woke up, and the professor's assistant had even repaired the flaws in the mechanical heart, meaning that even a kiss would no longer cause his heart rate to spike. From then on, the two lived a happy life together. Although their love had gone through numerous hardships, the ending was a happy one. This story shows that true love can overcome all obstacles.